but there's no rules maybe. I don't know. It depends on the style maybe, but I guess I was just always told writers write and just write every day because I knew I was going to be a writer in the third grade, and I wrote my first book in the third grade. It was just paper folded in half. And we thought we were so creative, me and my girlfriend. It was about me and my girlfriend and what we were going to do. So, from there I get a little bit better. So I've got quite a few books published, and I published them. I had some people wanting my books, but I didn't want to pay them, especially after learning how it all worked and going out firsthand experience and watching everything almost collapse, So between an autobiography and a memoir, but people, you are the author of your own life story, and I do encourage you to write your book, and I've got a logo, or basically what's called an imprint, when you're in publishing in timely manner books, so we crank them out pretty quick. But these days, the minimum, just if you want to do something for yourself, is just start writing. A minimum of 25 pages, and Kindle's gotten where they didn't even want our content chapters written on the beginning. It was really strange what we went through, so you could read them on your Kindle books or these tablets. So interestingly enough, we were having to send them in without content, chapter listings, things like that. You just start reading and scroll through the Kindle. So I guess you need to know what you're writing and why you're writing it. And usually if you'll start with your own life story, everything you've done, and it's pretty much expected that by 50 years old that you've written your own book, your author's book. And that was the way I was trained growing up, because people would say, wait till you're 50, and I didn't get it. I don't know if they were trained in school or if it was just the generations of the 60s, 70s, and 80s or what. But I did finally get mine written, but it was in, I think, I knew by 50 or 52. I think I wrote mine maybe when I was 52, but I'm still not satisfied with it. So we're always still living our lives, and it comes back to how you want to live in the now, because the past is the past and the future hasn't got here yet. So you live in the now, but what makes you want to live? We have to have hope. And one thing about learning about depression, which I've learned because of so many of my relatives have died around me, and I don't know, as a kid I thought they'd live forever. But until you've lost a husband and a child, younger than you, you're not supposed to bury your children. There's just no hurt, no pain like it, I tell you. So, I haven't even written about that yet, and now it's in my past. But anyway, what kind of help do you think if you were in a group of people meeting online? Because we had meetup groups like you had. I had one at the library. We have a great meeting room here in Gulf Breeze, and a great library, can seat 35 to 50 people. We can put them, at the desk, or we can put them in a circle. But and we have places here. I promote events. We have 2 a year, but they're more metaphysical, spiritual, New Age. But let's say you and I decide we want to have a weekly meeting just to inspire others. I guess first we'd have to take a survey and see if people are interested. But I don't know. I want to grow something, and I've got plenty of websites out there. But I don't want to pay all the kind of money I've been paying in the past, back when we thought we were all writers. Now it's getting to be where you have to have secure sockets, SSLs, on your domain name. So, but in order to help people listening on the genre self-help, maybe we should explain transport layer sockets or how sockets work on your certificates, but that may be down the road. So maybe in order to help people, you want to start with us just telling them why they should have a domain, or you think that's only if they're blogging or writing or selling, or I think they've got to start somewhere. So this should maybe be live talk shows, self-help 101 or something. Help me platform this or get it organized with you being a writer already. What can you say that you'd like to have people listen to your first radio show? Because we can do these blog shows or these talk shows for 2 hours and put them on our websites. And probably, if nobody listens to them but you and me, at least we can learn about ourselves, David.
Okay.
What would you tell us, you and me, learning to write together, but not just doing it by myself, but having you critique or me critique you or us edit each other. You know, I told you how we used to do that in law firms. Even law firms may be great people, but as professionals, we still had to check each other and find things. You think you got it right. You know, you think, oh, I would never do that. But now with Grammarly on your computers, you know, here it could be H-E-A-R or H-E-R-E. I catch things like that. There, T-H-E-R-E on my clients. I catch T-H-E-R-E, you know. And some of these people, they're so cute. They think because they're on my radio show, they're going to be instantly famous. But, you know, if people think they're writing a book, if they get it written, they're instantly famous. Well, they are an author. They're an accomplished author, so we give them that. But go ahead. How do you think, and how should we start this, helping you and me and using maybe more tools than we've got, but the resources we have? Got any ideas?
Yeah, first of all, the simple process, you know, in looking over this thing, the writer, then there's a publisher, then there's a distributor. In other words, all of the steps that it takes to go through. You write something, you edit it, you print it, and then somebody has to buy it. And that's the whole process from start to finish. It sounds easy, but it really isn't. Because, yeah, first of all, you have, like I said, you have to have a story to tell, and it has to be interesting because that's what's going to make people buy it. And you're right, there's a boatload of genres. There's science fiction, young adult, and the list just keeps growing and growing. Now there's all kinds of, you know, self-help books as well, so on. It really has grown, so you have to find that publisher that's going to fit that. Now, that's just one side where you're dealing with paper and ink. Now we've gotten into this with all of this technology we have, you know, again, computers. Just about everybody has a computer. And what's out there? Websites. I mean, it doesn't make any difference if you're talking about Facebook or if you're talking about, hey, I have a domain name, and that's where, you know, you're trying to draw people to you. Well, that's an altogether different animal, and we could talk hours on that as far as that goes, because you need to choose a domain name that, one, search engines are going to find fairly easy. I have created domain names that are literally about the subject that I want search engines to find. And, I mean, at one point in time, I was managing upwards of 80 domains. Some were successful and some weren't.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that.
It happens. Technology, it's a wonderful thing, or it can kill you.
So what happened is someone called in on the computer on Skype, and I couldn't answer it, and then it came because I'm using my computer on the show. But I wanted to let him know it's that John, that friend from California. I guess I didn't get with him Sunday, but I've been helping him build his brand, and he's writing a book. So, but we could talk about him for a moment because he got to know me 5 years ago. I don't know where you were in the conversation when all that happened, but I couldn't hear anything. So when you heard me come back on, for some reason it interrupted my cell phone. I'm on Zinc, too. We should talk about that, shouldn't we, if we're going to do live radio shows? Because I've got the studio hooked up, and I've got my phone hooked up, and my cell phone hooked up, all three to manage this show. And so, doing radio and podcasting is a little different than just writing books. But where were you in the conversation when I so rudely was attacked?
websites are, I was getting into websites, and domain names are important because you want search engines to be able to find them. And oftentimes I would create a domain name that literally was the name of whatever it was that I was after. Because search engines do just that. They look for keywords, period. And if your domain name, Industrial Documents, wasn't very strong of a name when it came to search engines, I would have been better off putting up Technical Writing and Editing or selfhelp.com. That would have caught more showing up in search engines and saying, oh yeah, hey look, you're somebody who does technical writing and editing and managing or whatever. And I've found that that's how you make success out of a domain name. John Doe just doesn't make it all the time. Putting up using your own name does not normally work because nobody's going to know your name to start with. I mean, how would you find, John Doe, book writer or publisher or whatever, if all you do is just put a name that's simple? Nobody's going to know you. Whereas if you put up what you actually are doing, in other words, Technical Writing and Editing.com, works really well. One of my customers lucked out really. He's a jeweler, and he has jewelry repair and design. The two things, or the three words that most people would flat out look for. Yeah, I got a piece of jewelry and I need to get it designed or I need to get it repaired. And so when they put that in there, his website comes up every single time. And it's always usually on top of the list. So naming a domain name is very important. You have to think twice about it, and then you also have to see if there's availability to it. Because domain names are like a telephone number. Only one person can have that domain name. Just like one person can only have a specific phone number. So therein again becomes you want something that people are going to be able to find easily.
Sorry. Live in a duplex. Hush, Coco. The lady next door we're not accustomed to having. We've been without somebody next door for a few months. Really upsets my dog, David. So a domain is like an address, folks. And on the internet, on the cyberspace highway, where we all now live with our phones, whether we want to admit it or not, if you want to be found, if you're just an individual, sure, Facebook's fine. A lot of people dropped off of that in 2018, but there's still plenty where that came from. Now, what we're doing here, am I coming through okay, David?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, you are.
My goodness. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you fell off the planet again there for a moment.
I did.
You're back.
Yeah, it's learning with this phone I'm talking on. It says Blog Talk Call In, but learning on these domain names, I don't know why, but somebody else called me and it knocked me off. So this zinking, I'm going to have to learn, folks. I know that we all can't know everything, and I do things every day on the internet and in cyberspace. Now, I've got clients and customers and followers like everybody out there. But I want to learn more of the technical aspects of what's going on, especially doing radio after 8 years. I've been doing them. But I'm having more trouble now with these new cell phones than I ever did before. And then a lot of my technicians around the world in various countries say it's slow because of this COVID-19. So many people are home, and especially during the work day here in America, it's really slowing down, even though I'm on 5G. So now we've got all kind of new things to think about now that we're using cyberspace, and we want to help you while you're at home. how to make a living. Now, there's ways to do that. If you have your domain, you can